Okay, everybody, well, welcome to A Kick in the Balearics, episode number 23 of myself and Martin Makepeace talking about Balearic football here on Mallorca, where I am, and in Ibiza, where Martin is. And a quick mention of Formentera and, of course, Menorca, hopefully very shortly soon as well. And how are you, Mark, first of all?
Yeah, good, mate. Good. Had a nice week off, Richie. Good to be back and good to be talking about the beautiful Balearic football.
Yeah, it's getting towards the old crunch end of the season right now, with quite a lot of teams, particularly in the Segunda B and downwards. Sort of the season was split into or the groups were split into two. Now they're sort of all being merged into one, and we could probably, hopefully, give you the definitive way how it's all going to work into next season. He said, hopefully, because we are getting a bit confused by it all, to be perfectly honest. But anyway, let's start where we always start, with Real Mallorca, who are still, at this particular moment in time, top of La Liga Smartbank, unbelievably so. I think mainly due to the fact that all the other teams around them keep losing as well. It's unbelievable, Mark, what's going on.
Well, I mean, I knew there was going to be a few bumps in the road, Richie, but the last couple of weeks have been amazing, haven't they? You know, Mallorca picking up 1 point out of 6 and still being 3 points ahead. It's
mad. Particularly like the last couple of weeks, we've lost a game, we've drawn a game, and we think to ourselves, oh no, do you know what I mean? And then all of a sudden, all the teams around us lose a game, draw a game. And particularly Espanyol and Almeria. And when I looked at the top five, I did a blog on this last week. How inconsistent I thought Mallorca were. They were, in fact, the most consistent team of the top five. It's utterly ridiculous. And, Mallorca haven't really played, I would say, well since... Well, they beat Almeria 2-0, and that was a good result, even though it was a bit lucky, really, to be perfectly honest. But, to beat your promotion rivals, you'd be happy, because the week before when we lost to Espanyol, I thought we were a bit unlucky. We had the better chances. We just couldn't convert them. They had 2 chances, scored 2 goals, 1-2-1. The following week, we were a bit flaky. We got a couple of goals, but I think we were lucky to come out with a 2-0 win. And you thought, now we can put our foot down and motor, because after that, the only teams we had left to play were Sporting Gijón and Leganés. Then a couple of weeks later, we get absolutely gubbed by Gijón. I mean, we didn't even look like we got a kick in the whole of the game. Got lost by 2 goals to 0. You thought, oh, here we go. This is starting to look a bit dodgy now. But all the other teams around us have lost games. Like Almeria lost last weekend 2-1. How they lost, I just don't know. But look, if you could say the name's on promotion, if that's going to happen, and I hope that's the case. But Mallorca, without a doubt, have to get back to winning ways. And what is the big problem right now? Is goals. Goals is a huge problem for Mallorca. They seem to be behind the 8 ball where it comes to goals scored. I think they've scored 39 now compared to Espanyol's 46. And then if you look at the top goal scorers, their leading goal scorer's got 8 goals. The top goal scorer at Gijón's got 20. And that's where our problem is.
It's not good enough, Richie. I mean, the thing is, you can't rely on the other teams to fall at the hurdles, can you? You can't rely on that. You've got to win your home games. You've got to. You've got to really focus on now. I mean, how many games have we got left, Rich? We've got
12.
12 games.
12 games to go.
12 cup finals, mate, isn't it? Really. I mean, the thing is, that Gijón game was an awful match, wasn't it, for you guys? Followed by a really poor draw at home, where you really needed to kind of bounce back from it, but you didn't seem to do that. It was against Oviedo, wasn't it?
Oviedo could have lost it. We cleared one off the line in the last couple of minutes as well.
And that point might be really important come the end of the season, mate. By the way, these points are really important. So you got Fuenlabrada next one up. Fuenlabrada, you've got to be looking for at least an away win there, mate. Really to bounce back from it, but I think the nerves are jittering, aren't they? The nerves are going, and people are just a little bit nervous about the promotion. You can almost see the finish line, can't they, in Mallorca? And I think that's when the problems have started.
Yeah, and look, I think one of the things, there's a few things are going our way and a few things that aren't going our way. We only really have, of the top 5, we only have Leganés to play now. That's it. But all the others have got to play at least 2 games between them. So there's going to be points dropped, whichever way you look around it, by the top teams. And right now, at the moment, there's a points difference of, well, as I say, you said earlier, it's 3 points between them and Espanyol in second place. Add another 2, you get to Almeria. Add another 2, you get to Leganés. Add another 1, you get to Gijón. So you'd say that it was that between that lot. That's 8 points between first and fifth. So, it'll be between those, I think. So all Mallorca have got to do is, we've always said this from the beginning, win your home games. Try not to lose your away games. You should be home and hosed, really, to be perfectly honest.
You don't think after Sporting Gijón did that kind of great, they gubbed you at their place, do you not think that the wind's in their sails now and they might come on the blind side?
Yeah, quite possibly. Look, they've got the leading goal scorer. I can't remember the boy's name, but he is the leading goal scorer. 20 goals he's got. And Almeria have got 2 above Mallorca's top goal scorer. Espanyol have got 1.
Yuka's the name of the guy from Gijón.
That's him. He scored I think it was the 2 goals against Mallorca. He got both.
Yeah. So I think the thing is, it's Mallorca's to lose, Richie, isn't it? That's the thing now. We've said this over and over again on this podcast, and we've said you'd have taken that all day long. 61 points, 3 points ahead, 5 points ahead of the next promotion rival with 12 games to go. But I'm getting nervous, Richie. I'm getting nervous because you said to me 2 weeks ago, it's okay, Martin. We've only got to play 1 out the top 5. We're okay. You've played 2 out the lower teams, and you've got 1 point out 6, Richie. I'm getting nervous.
Yeah, well, don't forget that actually one of those was Gijón, so they're not one of the lower teams. So but Oviedo, look, we should have been Oviedo at home without a doubt. But just don't seem to be firing. Listen, the top goal scorer is Amath. He's been out injured. He didn't play the last game, and he's out for another couple of weeks. So we've got to find somewhere else. The problem for us is that the boys that we've brought in, we've got 1 in from Cadiz, 1 in from Osasuna. Neither have fired. They've got a goal each. Our next best goal scorer is Danny Rodriguez. Central midfielder. Right? He's an attacking midfielder, but we need one of our top boys to fire. Abdon, of course, has got some goals. He's got 7, I think it is now. But Abdon, he could be fantastic or he could be blooming awful, to be perfectly honest. There's not a sort of middle ground with Abdon. I don't know. Let's see. I mean, the 12 games to go.
When Amath was firing, he scored a few recent goals. You seem to have gone on and won. He's been out or he's not been particularly good, and all of a sudden you've fallen off a little bit of a cliff. So let's see what happens, but I think you've got to be looking for a away win next time up, Rich.
Yeah, Fuenlabrada, as you say. Interestingly enough, Mallorca, it's the last game of the weekend. They play on Monday night. So they'll know what all their rivals have done around them by the time they get to kick off against Fuenlabrada on Monday night. So, it's important that I'd obviously rather be playing the first game on Saturday, or if there was a Friday game, I'd be playing on Friday, just so you've got, that advantage over your rivals of getting the points in the bag, really, to be perfectly honest. But look, they know what they've got to do. They'll as I say, but they kick off on Monday night. They'll know exactly what everybody else around them has done. They've just got to do better than them. Do that to the end of the season, and they're promoted. And it'll be fantastic. Interestingly enough, a couple of things since we last spoke. Salva Sevilla's just signed a new contract, which is good news. I think they're trying to sign up, all the boys that have been with them a few seasons. Danny Rodriguez a few weeks ago, Martin Valgent a few weeks ago. I think Raillo signed as well. So all the when you look at the mechanics of the team that the boys that are really sort of key to this team moving forward. Are signed. I think what will be interesting actually is that Osasuna I don't think are going to go down. There was talk that they could go down, and obviously that's where Budimir's gone on loan. We've taken the boy Mark Cardona, I think, is on the way on the other side. If Osasuna can't afford to pay the money, which I think is about 8 million, that's the agreed fee, I think. And Mallorca do get promoted, will Budimir come back and start playing again for Mallorca?
Yes, he will, mate. Absolutely. I'll tell you why, because I don't think Budimir cares. He just wants to be in the league.
Yeah, that's proven. Yeah, and he wants to be playing for his country as well. So,
Euros.
I'm quite sure the fans will feel for that.
Something, football fans are fickle, Richie, aren't we? If he knocks in a hat-trick on the first game of the season, if you get to La Liga, all will be forgiven.
Right, so let's move down to Segunda B, and let's start with your boys, Mike, UD Ibiza, because we're now into the realms of, well, how does this work? Because I'm still not sure how this is all working, to be perfectly honest.
Some good news for you, mate, and I've got some bad news for you. Right?
Go on then.
I spent the weekend reading through the RFEF rules again, and I believe that they go into the playoffs now with the subgroup A. Obviously, they're in subgroup B. They go into subgroup A, and they only play subgroup A. They don't play the teams they've already played. Yeah. And,
okay.
And the top 2 out of those 6 then go towards the playoffs. For the, what do we call it? What's the third tier now going to be? It's going to be the...
Right, so I'll run through the tiers for you, because I did this the other day, so I sort of more or less know. I'll have to read it, because otherwise I'll get it wrong. La Liga, which is run by the National Professional Football League. That's obviously the top division. Tier 2 is where where Mallorca are now, which will be known as the Second Division, run by the National Professional Football League. And the new divisions are the Primera Division, which is run by the Royal Spanish Football Federation, the RFEF, as you just mentioned. That'll be 2 leagues of 20 teams. I don't know if that'll be regionalised or not. I'm not quite sure how that side of it works, as that hasn't been explained. Then Tier 4 is going to be called Segunda Division, run by the RFEF, and that's 5 groups of 18 teams. Yeah. Once again, don't know if that will be regionalised, but it sounds like it probably will be. And then you've got Tercera Division, run by the RFEF, which is 18 groups of 18 teams. And those will be from 1 to 5, basically.
Which is regional. So the good news is that UD Ibiza are there. They're there in the playoffs, so to speak, to go up to the new Primera. Primera.
No, they'll go up. If they win all that, they'll go up to Segunda, where Mallorca are now.
Oh, excuse me, Segunda, yeah. So basically, they're now playing towards to go to Segunda, which is their, it's always been their objective, Richie, to go to Segunda. The not so good news for Ibiza is if you look at who's in their subgroup A, at the moment you've got Gymnastic of Tarragona, who were relegated the year before last, or it might have been last year. They've got Barcelona B, and we know what they can do, and they've also got FC Andorra, which is owned by Gerard
Piqué.
Yeah. So you've got those 3 teams now. Now, I don't think they could pick any more difficult teams to have in their subgroup A. And I've got a horrible feeling. Now, let's not forget, UD Ibiza have managed to win the league by 9 points. They're the top scorers with 26 goals. They conceded the least amount of goals. They conceded 5 goals in 18 games, Richie, which I think is amazing. Yeah. I think it's nailed on now that they're going to go out of these playoffs straight away, isn't it? Because they've had such a good run. It's nailed on. And it's a bit like, the ones who are scrapping at the end, they've got the biggest chance. I've just got a horrible feeling that, they play FC Barcelona B away, and we all know what happens when you go to Barcelona B. So let's see what happens. The good news is that they've won the league with flying colours. They've had some really great results there as well. The last game they beat Villarreal B 3-0, which I thought was a really good result. Even though they got the last 2 goals in the last 2 minutes, by the way, by Anko Rodado, scored 2 goals, which is our kind of local hero here. And Sergio Castel got the first goal. He's been playing very well all season as well. So I think they go into the playoffs now with confidence, but also I think they also know that they're probably going to be. They've gone from the kind of favourites to the outsiders again now as well, because you put your money on Barcelona B, wouldn't you?
I don't know. I mean, don't forget Barcelona B is going to be the youngsters, so you don't obviously know how well they're going to do. They've never. I remember from years ago, they've always been the youngsters. It's not been like a reserve team. It's not been like full of 30-year-olds. It's all young boys who are trying to break into the first team squad. So, I still think it's possible. But
also as well, Gymnastic of Tarragona was there as well. Now, Nastic, as they're called. Nastic is
great stadium, by the way. Great stadium.
Exactly what I was going to say, Richie. Amazing stadium, amazing facilities. It's a real football town now. If you've ever played gymnastic at youth level, I don't know if you've played them at youth level, Richie.
No, but we were there a couple of years ago. We actually drove past the ground, and I said to my son, "Blimey, look at whose ground is that?" And he said, "Oh, he said that's Nastic of Tarragona." I was like, "How do you know that?" Well, kids are like this. So, but lovely stadium.
Yeah, amazing stadium, grass pitch. It's like a bowl as well. You know, it's an amazing stadium. You know, they're going to fancy their chances as well. Recently relegated, a real football town, Nastic. As I said to you before, if you've ever played Nastic at youth level, they are a level above everyone else. You know, we think we've got half decent teams. Nastic are another level, just probably a bit below the big teams, Villarreal, Barcelona, Real Madrid, Atletico Madrid, but they're there or thereabouts at youth level. That's what I'm saying, yeah? And you usually find that those teams at youth level, they do tend to kind of jump up as well. So I think it's a really tough draw for UD Ibiza, but I've got to say, you know, we're positive, we're quietly positive, and if we are the outsiders in those playoffs, then I think that might go in our favour.
Shame we can't travel, Mark. That would have been a nice little trip. I'd have probably come on to you with that one.
No, I mean that would be a great way to kind of go and see your team. But you know, there's always next season, mate. And I'm already planning for Andorra versus England today. We've been planning for that today in October, by the way. So you know, fingers crossed we'll be able to travel for that.
Andorra, England.
Yeah.
Well, I drove to Andorra from Barcelona. Actually, it's a hell of a drive. That, blimey.
They usually play in the Olympic Stadium, Richard, or maybe in Barcelona. So they'll play in Barcelona. I've been there a couple of times.
Oh, really?
You know, but you know, Barcelona facilities are fantastic. It would be a great away day. But you know, I fancy Ibiza, underdogs, but I fancy us.
So tell me about Penya.
Yeah, mate, what a story Penya is. Gosh, you know, we're all cock-a-hoop about UD Ibiza. Basically, Penya went into this last game of the season versus at Zaneta, and all they needed was a draw, Richard. All they needed was a draw, and they would stay at fifth because they had a better goal difference than everyone else. So they only needed a draw against Ateneta. First minute they concede a goal, yeah. So they go all out to get the equaliser, and then with more or less the last kick of the match, Ateneta get the second goal, and Penya go from fifth position down to eighth position, yeah. So from safety or relative safety, they've gone down to eighth, which means now they're going to be going to playing for their lives in the playoffs to stay in that division. Because if they lose that, then there's a chance they could go back down to Tercera, which would be a disaster for Santiago.
That's a real shame. I mean, as I say, you know, they've done really well this year to get where they got. And, you know, I think we were all sort of pretty much nailed on in our minds that Penya would survive and would keep themselves in that division. And it seems like one game, you know, it all sort of goes to Kaplong. So hopefully they can sort of get themselves back in it now and get that result that they need.
If you look at their last 5 matches, mate, they've won one. You know, they've won 3. They won 3 and drew 2 in their last 5 matches. Yeah, which allowed them to have this chance of staying up. And as I say, all they needed was a home draw. And as we always say, mate, you can't lose your home matches.
Yeah, it's a real shame, Mark. But anyway, let's talk about Atlético Balears. They are in the situation where they can't go up to Segunda like Ibiza can, but they are in sort of the second tier, a little bit like not like Penya, sorry, but there's the first tier, the first 3, then there's the next 3, and then there's the final 4. I think that's how it works. So they're in the second part in order to stay really where they are, to be perfectly honest. Not where they wanted to be. They've got a new coach in charge, of course, this guy Xavi Calm, who's he was at Birmingham City. And so let's see. I mean, they won last week. They beat Getafe 3-1. I think obviously the owners will want them to stay where they are, to be perfectly honest, so they can sort of start setting their stall out into next season. Whether that coach will be there for the season, who knows? I mean, well, let's see how he gets on in these sort of playoff games. I've looked at the website. They call it 6 finals to come, they're saying. So let's see. We'll take it from there. So good luck to them. And then UD Poblense. They're in the same situation as Penya. They're in the relegation side of where they're going to go to. So let's see how Poblense get on. Poblense have struggled all season with goals. That's been their main problem. I think their best result was beating Balearics away just before Christmas. So let's see. I mean, I wish them luck. We don't want to see our Balearic teams do badly. So let's hope they all do well.
Interesting that at the bottom there with Poblense, they've got Atletico B and Getafe B, aren't they? So it must have been a tough group, that one, Rich, because that's some big names.
Yeah, They'd been in that echelon, that for about 30 odd years, Mark. So it was a big step up for them. And they've sort of done well to hold their own, really.
I'm really upset that we've not been able to go and see Poblense, mate, because I really wanted to. That was one team I wanted to go and see, because I think I've got a feeling they're going to be very similar to my local team, Portmoney. Similar kind of setup. I really want to go and see Poblense. So I really hope they can stay in the in that division, and we can focus on them next year as well.
Okay, let's go into Tercera. Obviously, 2 groups in Tercera for us. We've got 2 more games to go. That's this coming weekend, and then after Easter. So there's a bit of a break over Easter, to be honest with you. But your boys, CD Ibiza Petusas, look like they might make it up, Mark. They're top of the league.
I mean, exactly. They're top
now.
Come
from nowhere.
Yeah, I mean, they were there or thereabouts, mate. But Andrax was so far ahead at one time. I think they were 5 or 7 points ahead. Andrax weren't they?
Yeah.
And they seem to have dropped points. And Soler did us a favour, did CD Ibiza a favour at the weekend.
They did.
Beat Andrax 2-1. Yeah. They were 2-0 up as well, by the way. So, and Andrax came back with a late goal. So, that sounds like a decent win for Soler, which leaves CD Ibiza at the top there. And, they're going to go into the playoffs, and they're going to be really confident there as well. We said before, CD Ibiza, which is a feeder club for UD, or part of the UD family. So really well done. A little bit further down, Richie, is my team, SD Portmoney, if you see that.
Portmoney, yeah.
I mean, they had a great result last week. I think they beat Colorense at home, did they? Let's have a look. No, sorry, Ferriolense they beat away from home 2-0. Yeah.
Yeah.
Which means that they now stay in that second tier, so they can't be relegated, which is a really
that's good news.
Really
that's good news
for us now. They stay there. They've got they've got 2 games to go. Is it 2 games to go? 1 game to go? I can't remember.
Some teams have got 1 game, and some teams have got 2. Mark.
So Soler, which is the closest to them, they've got 1 game to go, and they're minus 14 goal difference, and we're plus 2. So fantastic for me personally. Portmoney is my local village team, so that's a real achievement, because last year they got saved by COVID. I don't know if you remember, Richie. They got saved. They were nailed on for relegation last year. Nailed on. This year they've turned it around. They've made some good signings. They've got the good signings. They've got Piera up front. They've got a great goalkeeper who's got some pedigree there, and also they've got Pochettino's nephew at left back as well, who notches a few goals as well. So Pochi, as we call him locally, little Pochi, he does well as well. So really pleased that Portmoney are going to stay in that division.
In the other group, Players de Calvi have pretty much run away with it all season. They're only 3 points clear now, because they were a little bit further clear. But well done to, first of all, Formentera. It's nice to see them up and near the top, and also the other team that we talked about the other week, which is Sant Jordi, who've sort of another team that's done very well for themselves from Ibiza. No,
yeah, really good. They were the ones. We haven't focused a lot on Sant Jordi, Richie, have we? Because
no, we haven't.
They've really actually just come up on the blind side. They've been chipping away. Last week, the week before last, rather, they beat Players de Calvi 2-0, which was a really good result, because
great result.
Players de Calvi, as we know, have been top.
First loss.
Yeah, and they've been top of the league all season, by the way. Players de Calvi has. So it was a home game. They beat Players de Calvi. 59th, 74th minute. So it sounded like a tough match. But Sant Jordi will go into the playoffs, and they may have a chance to go up and join the other teams in the Balearics in the Segunda B, or whatever it's called next year, which I can't remember.
It's pretty, isn't it? A quick look at Juvenil Division Honor, because it all got very exciting towards the end, to be honest with you. The last game for the top 2, everybody thought the Barcelona was going to come, because they've come with a late run. Barcelona were going to pip Espanyol, have been top for ages. But they played each other in the last game of the season, and Espanyol whooped them 4-0 away. So that was a great result for Espanyol. Unfortunately, our 3 teams actually. Well, first of all, San Francisco had to play Real Mallorca in the last game. It was sort of winner takes all, really. Winner would have got into the promotion places. Loser would have got into the relegation places. But they drew 1-1. And what happened was CF Dam beat Club Esportio Europa by 2-0. And CF Dam leapfrogged both of them. and put them both into the relegation area, along with Penya Arabal as well. So all three teams are now fighting it out to make sure that they play in Division Honor next year. I don't know how it's all going to work out, how they do it all, because I haven't really seen it being sort of in black and white to me yet. But
San Francisco, they've done well though, haven't they, Richie? San Francisco, you've got to say. I mean, looking at their results, you know, they've only lost one of the last 5. They've won 3, drawn 1. You know, they've done really well. We just need them to stay there as well. You know.
Second half of the season was their finest bit, really. I mean, they didn't do very well in the first part, but second half, I think they lost one of the last sort of 8 or 9 games, really. I think it was. So, you know, they beat Espanyol away. They drew with Barcelona. You know, they had some really, really good results. It just, the first half of the season just wasn't good enough. It's a bit safe for Penya, really, to be honest with you. So, you know, it's a shame to see all 3 of them in that relegation area. But let's see. Let's hope they can get them all get themselves out, because, you know, it's the highest part of youth football. It's the under-18s, basically, you know, Division Honor. And, you know, there's not many teams from the islands that play in it, as you can see already. You know, basically, Real Mallorca, San Francisco have had quite a good run at it. Penya Arabal sort of had 1 year in, 1 year out, but yeah, it's been pretty good.
I mean, so important, Richard. Our under-18s from the islands are playing teams like Barcelona and Espanyol. You know, at that level, because that shows them what they can do. Yeah, we know that Mallorca are always there or thereabouts. You know, we understand that they've got there. But the teams like San Francisco and Penya Arabal, who are, you know, they're village teams. I know that San Francisco is a feeder team to Mallorca, but they are village teams, really. So for them to play at that level, mate, fantastic, and we need them to stay there.
Yeah, I agree with that. Youth football, well, my son started playing last week. He's in Cadetes, and he has coming up. He's got like 4 games in about 10 days. Coming up, which is, you know, for me, that's great. They lost by 2-1 against La Salle at the weekend, a last-minute goal, unfortunately. But we're still looking at the Infantil, sorry, not the Infantil, the Alavin, the pre-Benjamin and Benjamin teams still haven't been given the go-ahead. I was under the impression that from the 10th of April, that was it. It was all sorted, but it looks like still haven't been given the actual permission to get going again. And the clubs are sort of not pleading, but it looks like they are, to be honest with you. Been a big protest at Atlético Balears ground the other day from this sort of thing that's set up called SOS Basse, or Football Basse, basically. And there's about 50 teams represented, because the boys just want to play. That's all they want to do. They're kids, you know what I mean? They haven't played for a whole year. This is the really sad thing about it. They haven't played for a whole year. And it just doesn't seem right when, you know, particularly, you know, you look at an Infantil boy who's 12 years old. My son is 11, can't play. It's a 1 year difference. It's the medical stuff doesn't add up for me, particularly when we know that, you know, how this pandemic works is, you know, it hasn't really affected young kids, really. Do you know what I mean?
You know, Rich, it's really bothering me now, mate, because, you know, we spoke about it on the radio on Tuesday, didn't we? You know, the FFIB, which is the Football Federation of the Islas Baleares, have got this one wrong. I don't care what anyone says, they've got it wrong. These kids are at school with their friends all day. They're mixing with other kids all day. So they're allowed to do that, but they're not allowed to go and play sport, which is fairly non-contact, by the way. So, you know, you're saying you can do one thing, but you can't do the other. Children need outdoor sports. Yeah, they need it. It's not something they want to do. They need it. The parents need it. They need the interaction as well. I don't care if I can't go and watch. I understand that. You say, parents, stay away. We don't want to do that. I get it. But let the kids play. We're pleading now. We've got maybe 6 or 7 weeks left. Doesn't matter if it's friendlies. Doesn't matter what it is. Let's get the kids back on the field and get them playing. Yeah,
totally agree. Well said. That's it for Kicking the Balearics. Take care, everybody, and we'll wish all our teams good luck. Real Mallorca obviously pushing for promotion back into La Liga, and all our other teams have got sort of playoff type of relegation come promotion games coming up as well. So good luck to all our teams, and we'll speak to you in a couple of weeks.
We are approaching the business end, Richie, the business end. So
squeaky bum time.
Yeah, squeaky bum time. So looking forward to spending it with my favourite Mallorcan radio host.
Thank you very much. Very kind. Take care, Mark.
We'll talk about Aisha, by the way, but you'll do.
Oh, of course, yeah.
Have a good one, mate.
Very good. Take care, mate.
Good, pal.